Order. And welcome to the Hawaii State Ethics Commission, excuse me, meeting. Today is November the 16th, is that correct? And time is 9 o'clock in the morning. First off, let's ask all of you to turn off your cell phones. And if you want to be recognized, please just raise your hand and I will recognize you. I can see all of you on the screen. At this time, I'd like to have our Assistant Executive Director take roll for both the commission and the staff and indicate if you are alone. No one's in your office with you.
Vice Chair Gralty,
I'm present and I'm alone.
Commissioner McCarthy,
Present and alone.
She said she'll be in about 11:30.
I would say is Commissioner Tobias here?
No, she's not.
And Commissioner Hong,
Present.
Executive Director Harris,
Present, and I have a sleeping cat next to me, but otherwise alone.
Staff Attorney Knifer,
Present and alone.
Staff Attorney Chang,
Present and alone.
Staff Attorney Campbell,
Present and alone.
Staff Attorney Yamanuha,
Present and alone.
Leader Specialist Louis.
Present and alone.
Thank you.
And Commissioner Fong and Hong are here, and we're not alone, but we're in good company. Anybody from the public would like to be recognized? I see we have KITV 4. None? Okay, let's move on. I have to read this. Pursuant to Hawaii Revised Statute Section 92-3.7, the State Ethics Commission will meet remotely using interactive conference technology. The public may either attend the meeting in person at the public meeting location above or participate remotely by using above Zoom meeting information. If participating remotely, please mute your phone device except while testifying. If the commission's video conference connection is lost during the meeting, please go to the commission's website. That's www.ethics.hawaii.gov. That's www.ethicshawaii.gov for more information, including reconnection information. Any questions? If not, first on the agenda, consideration and approval of the minutes of October 19th, 2022. Any corrections by the commissioners? Any comments or questions by the public? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of October 19th, 2022.
So moved.
Moved by Harry.
Yes.
Commissioner McCarthy, second by
I can't, I have to recuse myself.
he was Dr.
Present.
Hong was not present. The only other
That was
person
nice.
was
Please note that I
Tobias.
abstain.
Well, what do we do in that situation? We can't get a second. And I can't second when I'm the chair.
Okay, you can postpone to the next meeting.
Unless any objections, we're going to postpone the approval of the minutes of October 19, 2022, because we need all those who are present to do a move and also second. And we don't have Commissioner Tobias. There were only 3 of us present. It was myself, Commissioner McCarthy, and Commissioner Tobias. So we'll just postpone the approval of the October 19th minutes. Executive report, Director Robert.
Yes, Chair. Thank you. I'm briefly going into the training statistics, looking at the month of October. We had 2 training sessions that were live. The first one was specific to state board commission members, and 103 members participated. The second was a general ethics training where we had 562 participants, which I think is probably one of our highest number, if not our greatest number of participants in a live training before. Similarly, we've had a fairly large participation on the online self-directed. In October, we had 2,428 participants, which again is also a record. And I think it largely reflects the University of Hawaii helping broadcast out the availability of that self-directed online training. Again, as you well know, with the mandatory ethics training law passed, we anticipate to continue seeing these sort of high numbers of participation, which is good. And it's also sort of a primary focus to make sure that we're able to offer as many live trainings as possible, as well as trying to direct people to the online course. We are in the midst of also working with the executive branch generally on trying to be a part of their online training portal and trying to encourage participation via their online training portal as well. I'm shifting gears briefly to overall statistics. Again, in the month of October, we had a total of 21 new complaints and 28 gift invitation and travel requests. We were also able to close a total of 26 complaints and 30 gift invitation travel with a slight net positive on the closing to new things coming in. Any questions so far?
Yeah, if we do the mandatory training, we should expect about 50,000 plus individuals taking that training. If my memory serves me correct, we have about 50,000 state employees, right? And it's mandatory. Does that include our board members and commission members?
Yeah, so I think I did send an email out earlier, and we will have to try to make sure everybody's compliant with it. There are certain people who have to take a live training, which include high profile boards and commissions, which includes this one, that would have to take a live training. And so yes, we do all have to take the live training. In addition, you're right, over somewhere below 60,000 total state employees are required to take the training. Our sincere hope is the bulk of them will use our online self-directed course. We simply just can't handle live training, that entirety of individuals. And the online course really is in many ways easy, that people can take it at any time they wish, whenever it's convenient for them. And it's a relatively concise course. But yeah, the logistics of trying to get this done is significant. And it's, it's obviously sort of a primary focus, I think, of us and many of the staff members.
Why is there a distinction between high profile individuals like us and the state employees? I mean, I took the exam or this course online because I teach at the university, and I thought it was very succinct and very comprehensive. So why do we have to go into in-person?
It's a requirement of the statute. I mean, is the very succinct answer. Legislators and certain, high department heads, et cetera, are indicated that they have to go through a live training. And I guess the presumption is the live trainings are better. I would say, a lot of the information is similar. One of the advantages of the live trainings, you get to hear questions other people are asking, and I think that provides an additional dynamic. So questions that you may have or may not have thought of, you get to hear answered, get to have that interaction. So I do think overall the live training is valuable in that regard. But again, the succinct answer is it's just a requirement of the statute.
And when do we anticipate having to do this? If you do have a date or time, and how long will it take?
So I can send around an email. We have live training scheduled at least every month, if not a couple times every month. And so it's easy to sign up for them, to participate in them. And we can definitely, send that, circulate that out for all the commissioners to see.
How long does it usually take for the live presentation?
I'd say they're averaging about an hour and a half, approximately.
Okay. Any other questions from the commissioners about training?
Yeah, Mr. Harris, when will the details of this live training, its requirement sessions be available?
Specific to the commissioners or more generally, I guess.
To the commissioners.
Again, I can circulate an email with a sign up. And again, it's available on our website when all the different live trainings are available. We offer them regularly. And I think the intent is that they're just freely available. And so I'll circulate that and give instructions on sort of how to sign up, et cetera.
Thank you.
Can you tell us some of the venues for this live training? Can we have it down here for the commissioners?
So all of our live trainings have been via Zoom. And that's, for multiple reasons: convenience, not having to schedule a room, avoid COVID spread, et cetera. So I think for the foreseeable future, all of our live trainings will be over Zoom. So they're still online, but you're essentially participating with hundreds of other people at the same time.
To hear, because we do have two commissioners on Kauai, although I love to see them come down to Honolulu.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Go ahead.
I mean, again, I would stress the reason why we're doing them online, and I think it's going to be an important note. Again, with 60,000 state employees, it's just going to be really difficult to have staff going to each department, each division, or each facility to try to do a live training. And so we really are trying to encourage state employees to participate in one of the regularly scheduled trainings versus trying to schedule individual things. Obviously, we'll do whatever we can to try to get people through training. So if we really do need to schedule one that's really specific to a specific agency or department, we'll do that. But we're trying to be as efficient as possible, just so we don't have our attorneys spending 100% of their time doing trainings and not able to do the other aspects of their work.
Okay, any other questions for commissioners? Any questions or comments from the public? But any comments from our staff? Okay, if not, let's move on. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we can actually go ahead and move to the next agenda item, which I believe Benita is going to run cover if she can.
Okay.
This is the extension.
Yes.
Financial disclosure deadline, correct?
Okay, so typically in an election year, we request a extension of the filing deadline for newly elected legislators. This year, because of reapportionment, everyone was reelected. So in terms of the timing, we were asking for an order to clarify the filing deadline. Typically, legislators who are incumbents and regular filers, they file in January. But because of the unique timing of election, they technically, by statute, would have to file within 30 days of being elected, which would make it December 8th. But, in terms of timing, it doesn't make sense to have them file twice back to back. So we just normally would ask the commission to extend the deadlines to January so that it's one consistent deadline for both returning legislators and new legislators, and just have one single deadline. So our recommendation is to extend the filing deadline from December 8th, 2022 to January 31st, 2023.
Commissioners, any questions or comments?
Nope.
How about the public? Okay, if not, I'll entertain a motion that we, I guess, approve an order to extend the financial disclosure deadline for newly elected legislators to file their initial financial disclosures from December 8th, 2022 to January 31st, 2023. Is that correct, Bonita?
Yes.
I'll entertain that motion.
Move approval.
Moved by Commissioner Hong. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Gralty. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor, just raise your right hand. Any opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Meeting, excuse me, item number 4, meeting calendar. I guess that's next, Robert.
Thank you. So there is a attachment which is proposing the dates for meeting for 2023. But before we talk about that, I'd like to briefly talk about our next meeting in December. It's been traditional practice that the December meeting has been canceled in the past, largely just recognizing different calendars. However, because our legislative bill introduction is the end of December, I do need to have the commission to consider the bills that we're going to be submitting to the legislature, as well as potentially our budget. And so I'd propose, if the commission's willing, to have a fairly brief meeting focused on legislative bills that we would propose introducing. And our current meeting date is the 21st. If the commissioners are available, I would ask if we could potentially move that to the 14th, again, for a very brief meeting focused on the legislative bills.
Any questions, any comments? So your recommendation or your request is to have the next meeting on the 14th of December, same time, 9
Correct.
o'clock. Okay. I didn't even know it was tradition that we didn't meet on December. We've been meeting every December. Anyway, I'm just going to ask the commissioners, do any of the commissioners have any objection to meeting on the 14th of December, 9 o'clock?
Is that also a Wednesday, just to be clear?
Yeah. Yes, it
Wednesday,
is.
yes, it is.
Okay.
Any objections?
No objection.
All
No
right.
objection.
If no objections, then we will meet again on the 14th of December. Any comments from the public? None, okay. Okay, we'll meet again on, excuse me, 14th of December. Are you providing refreshments? It is a holiday, I mean, Christmas.
Since we're virtual, I don't think.
Yeah, but we don't send, you gotta come down.
You can have all the virtual cookies you can eat.
Okay, maybe we'll have a Commissioner McGalty and Tobias join us. And,
Well, I will not be able to join you on that day because I will be in Seattle on that day doing visits and medical stuff, but I will join you electronically.
all right, okay, we can join you in Seattle, but that don't.
That'd be okay.
Well, maybe there will be a Christmas miracle, and there will be some treats in the office too for those who come in person. Also, again, I don't know if we really necessarily need to discuss it in any detail, but the proposal is to leave the meetings as is for 2023, which would be the third Wednesday of every month. And as there is an attachment just showing where those fall. Is there anybody who would like to try to change or move that? Otherwise, we just set it and just go with the same schedule for 2023.
Any questions, comments from the, any discussion by the commissioners about keeping the same schedule? The third Wednesday, third Wednesday of every month at 9 o'clock.
Right.
No objection.
No objection.
Okay.
Do we need a motion, Robert? Would that
I
be
don't
more
believe-
official?
I don't believe we do. This is procedural. So it's just when we're meeting. So I don't think that needs to be a motion.
Okay. Note for the record that all the commissioners present have no objection to the schedule of third Wednesday of every month for year 2023. Does that include the fact that we usually take off on the December? Or is that part of the schedule?
No, it is been calendared to meet in December. I think just it has been tradition in the past, usually because of commissioners' schedules. It's been difficult to get quorum in December. So I think in the past that meeting has been dropped. Again, that's what I've been told. Regardless, it is on the calendar, and who knows, we may wind up having to do the same thing of moving that meeting earlier in the schedule as we get closer to December.
Mr.
Okay.
Chair, a little background. I think the reason why we did not have meetings in December is because of the annual conferences. Sometimes we go far away like Montreal, and on the way back, we want to stop off and see friends and family. And we don't get back in time for a meeting second week of December, so we just as soon cancel. I think that's one of the reasons.
Thank you. Hey, having said that, isn't Commissioner Hong and some of the staff going to be going to the Montreal conference? When is that? In December?
It is that first week of December. So
Around Pearl Harbor Day.
it is the December, apologies, moving my calendar. It is the 5th, 6th, and 7th, I believe.
Okay, so
approximately around there.
you'll be back for
So we'll all be
back for the meeting. All right, good. All right. Item number, I believe, is it 5? Update on commission to improve standards of conduct. Robert, I guess that's you.
Correct. So the Commission to Improve Standards of Conduct had, I believe, likely its final meeting and considering bills, and is now in the report drafting process. The deadline for that report, I believe, is December 2nd. And so once that's submitted, the Commission to Improve Standards of Conduct is no longer in existence. There is approximately 30 bills that the Commission to Improve Standards of Conduct is going to recommend. The most recent ones that were discussed include some revised criminal statutes that are modeled largely off of the federal statutes to try to give the state essentially the ability to pursue allegations of fraud, false claims, and sort of related matters, similar to how the feds can do it. So my intent is, when it is ready and the complete list of all those bills is ready, is to circulate that and make that, again, it'll be public, it's public information, and to circulate that so this commission can take a look at all of it. At our December meeting, we potentially will talk about whether or not we want to support any of those bills outside of sort of our normal ethics jurisdiction or not, and we can have that discussion at that time. Just be able to look at all those bills and decide which ones we want to support, not support, etc. I'm happy to sort of talk in more depth about any of the particular ideas, but I also sort of want to respect time and recognize we've got a pretty busy schedule on the judicatory side. Are there any bills or matters I think are the commissioners interested in or would like to hear more about?
Let me ask you this question. Now that the legislators have an idea of what we would recommend in regards to ethics for the state, have you been hearing any pushback on any particular bill that maybe we can be of service to encourage passage?
I have not heard any pushback. Again, I think a lot of the effort has been in trying to get the bills drafted and then getting the Commission on Improving Standards of Conduct to approve it. So I think the next step is to start trying to walk it around the legislature and get feedback from legislators. I don't know if our bills are necessarily as controversial necessarily. So hopefully, we won't get as much opposition, but I think it's a little too early to say until we're able to walk it around the halls and start trying to see what the feedback is.
And you keep us posted, because you folks did a lot of work, and we did too, in proposing these recommendations. And I hate to see it die on the wayside for maybe lack of understanding of where we're going and why we're doing it.
Agreed.
Sure, KITV will make sure that doesn't happen.
I'm sorry, I was going to ask if the commissioners have any questions or comments about this. Commissioner Gralty?
No, I was just saying there's a lot of media exposure on what happened because of the 2 legislators who ended up in prison. So I'm not concerned that it'll go away without a whimper, or with a whimper, without a whimper, whatever.
I should also let you know that the chair, I'm vice chair of the Standards Commission, and the chair and I, Judge Dan Foley and I, are going to go meet the Civil Beat editorial board in order to talk over the final report. And they've been doing, I think, a really good job of covering some of the different proposals. I think similarly, we'll be trying to meet with other media sources, I think with, again, the intent of trying to elevate attention to these issues and make sure people are aware of it. Do what we can.
Any questions, comments, Commissioner McCarthy or Commissioner Hong? Or,
Just a question.
yes,
Do you know if the conference, what's it called, is asking a presentation from you on the ethics? Standard and
COBO.
conduct?
The COBO?
COBO, yeah. Have they asked?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Seems like that's something that they should be concerned with. But anyway, we can't tell them what to do.
My understanding is the feds have been doing a very similar public corruption push across the country. And so I think there's a number of states that have sort of similar issues going on. So my guess is there will be live discussions about it. Obviously not Hawaii specific, but you know, which again, I think is healthy, and hopefully we might be able to learn something from it as well.
Thank you.
Robert, are we getting the counties also involved with this? I mean, we're talking about the state, but is the counties interested in having something like what we're recommending? I mean, they are having their share of incidents, I should say.
That's a great call out. We put in two proposals that impact the counties. One is a grant and aid, which the Civil Beat covered and actually interviewed one of the commission members from the county of Hawaii. The other one is basically a proposal or resolution asking the counties to essentially do something similar of looking at their current system and seeing what changes or improvements are needed. Prior to the Standards Commission being created, I went to each commission meeting and sort of presented what was going on. I would like to try to do something similar in the month of December and January to sort of trot out these proposals and get feedback and hopefully get some support from the counties. I would flag, you know, I think some of the county commission members, you know, the issue of funding may be less important to them because they feel like they're doing a very good job. And again, I don't want to in any way undermine the hard work that they're doing. But, you know, I you know, want to be kind of cognizant that they may not necessarily perceive that as a priority issue. And if so, you know, I think that's certainly their desire. I'd like to also try to make sure that the opportunity for increased funding is available to them. Just because, you know, I think we can see from our image, our vantage, the ability to do more training, to do more investigations, to do more, you know, increases when you have staff and the ability to go do those things and to try to make sure we're engaging that conversation with them. But, you know, I think it is something we need to have that conversation with. I'm glad you called it out.
The reason I asked that question is because I would assume that the counties would be very interested in participating in the discussion in regards to the grants and aid to beef up their commissions, except for maybe the Honolulu Commission. And I would encourage them to get on the bandwagon with us so we can have that support. Because, you know, even though we're talking about the state, it really affects all of this, you know, the counties too, even though they have separate commissions. There was the question, yeah, Robert.
Mr. Harris, I have a question. Do we have a like an overall document that demonstrates what's the role of the county commissions and the state commission, you know, in ethics? Is there overlap? Are there, you know, points that we can work together on?
So just as background, the Constitution requires both the state and county to have their own separate ethics commissions. And then there is, you know, some general provisions within the Constitution, but a fair amount of the design of like an ethics code is left up to either the city council or the state legislature. So there are certainly probably some natural overlaps in sort of how the county ethics codes are set up and how our state ethics code is set up. However, they are two separate, you know, pieces of law, and you know, there's going to be differences between them. We've previously held a statewide conference where we invited and met with all the different counties and sort of had a conversation. And it's certainly something that we as a group have talked about trying to do again. And I'm asking that we maybe delay it until after the legislative session, just recognizing there's a lot going on. But I think the opportunity to continue to collaborate and try to work together is important. We certainly do get a number of county complaints, complaints about a county related issue from a member of the public. And whenever we do, we try to refer it to the appropriate county and make sure that that gets considered. However, just even then, there's some differences. For example, Maui won't accept any anonymous complaints. They have to be, more of a formal complaint, signed, verified. Essentially, really attesting to all the facts. It's much more of a formal legal process. And those differences are things that we'd like to try to talk about, try to make sure that we're able to work with each other and try to smooth out any of those differences. When they maybe cause public concern or public confusion. I hope that answers your question. I don't know if that's.
I think that points to what Chair Fong has taken a look at. It might be good for us to get back to discuss in general approaches where we will not overlap or come to odds with each other.
Yeah, I just real briefly, I don't think there's ever been much of a situation where we're at odds. And again, I think, the recognition, if it's a county employee, it's a county issue, if it's a state employee, it's a state issue. Obviously, there's potential for contradictory interpretations of our laws, and the public at large may misunderstand that. But it hasn't happened, that much that I'm aware of. And we certainly have, I think, had a pretty good relationship with the county of Honolulu, for example, which is sort of similar, in size, the number of employees they have, et cetera. The neighbor islands essentially don't have staff. And so they're just a very different creature in that regard. Essentially envision that, all the volunteer commissioners would have to do the investigation. Someone would have to do the actual research into a complaint that comes in. It's a very different process. And again, I think part of the intent of trying to provide the grants and aid is to try to give them some support and infrastructure to maybe help, do more.
Okay, let me just make one comment, then I'll ask Commissioner McCarthy his question. To me, it's very important because we do have the resources on the state level that we extend as much help as we can to the county ethics commissions. It may not be our bailiwick, but I think it'd be, incumbent upon us to do something like that because it'll benefit the whole state. That's the way I look at it. So whatever we can help them with, I'm for. Okay, and I've met all of the county commissioners, other county commissioners, and you're just lucky what we have as resources. It's night and day. Commissioner McCarthy.
Yes, just following up on that conversation we've just been having about the counties. We have, I think, so much in common and so many things that we need to coordinate with the counties. Let me suggest this as a possibility. I don't know if the money is there to do it or whether there would be any great interest that we as the State Ethics Commission host a conference with representatives of the county ethics of each in each individual case, a brief conference, maybe a day or something, if it can be done, just to talk about the issues, talk about what we have in common, talking about what the problems are and how we can help each other to deal with issues as they come up. I know everybody's got maybe a different issue depending on the individual county, but I think there are many things in common that we could all benefit from and having that type of discussion in a more of a formal setting in a conference setting. So that's my suggestion.
Robert, keep that in mind.
Yeah, again, you're walking through an open door. I think there's an interest on everybody's part, including the neighbor islands, in trying to do something like that. I think the opportunity by pushing it into the next legislative sessions that we can potentially put it into our budget so we can actually get some funding directly related to that. And it gives us the space and time to make sure we have meeting facilities, stuff lined up. Again, with the enhanced training and the legislative session coming on, it's just a lot to do right now. But I think the commitments to maybe look at trying to do it in the summer as sort of a good time frame for trying to do something like that of that nature.
Good suggestion, Commissioner McCarthy. Anything else from any of the commissioners? How about the staff? Any comments from the staff? Okay, if not, is that it for item number 5? Let's move on to item number 6. Akana. How old is this case? I think I was on, that was my first case when I got on board. That was 5 years ago. I think it was 5 years ago. Was it 6?
2019.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
You were young then, Wes.
No update, Chair, on this matter. Haven't heard anything new on it.
Sorry,
It's still pending on appeal.
Correct.
Go ahead. I was just gonna make a comment that I remember my first case, and I think the commission hasn't had many cases, and I'll compliment to, we're lucky to have Commissioner Gralty as the chair, because he has a knowledge as a former judge to really do a good job in regards to that case. So compliments to Commissioner Gralty.
It was a
Anyway,
hard assignment, but I survived.
Commissioner McCarty, you were going to say something? I'm sorry.
No, I wasn't.
You missed a good one, Harry.
Yeah. Yeah, I so I heard. Who knows? We may have another one of those cases come up in the near future, and if so, we'll
Don't
do a
worry,
good job
we're
of that too. Yeah.
We're ready. We're ready. We got all the expertise here. Robert, do you have? Okay.
I'm sorry, Chair, you cut out there for a second. Can you repeat
Yeah.
that?
Do you have anything else on the Akana case? That's item number 6.
I'll just note that there was a media announcement reporting of, again, it looked like an audit of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. And the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, again, this is regards to fraudulent spending. And in the media article, it did reference the fact that we had done an investigation, and the Office of Hawaiian Affairs was going to consider referring out some of the allegations from that audit. So it is possible we may see more. Again, this is tangentially related to the Econo matter, but we don't know if it's going to be referred to us or to on the criminal side or not, or how they're going to take action. But just again, reporting was publicly released in the media.
Any other questions for Robert in regards to the Akana case? It's still pending. That's five years now. Let's see, 19. Oh my gosh. Anyway, well, hopefully there'll be resolution eventually. That's all there is on the agenda. Robert, is that anything else that I missed on the agenda?
No.
Okay. Any comments or by the commissioners? Anything you want to say before I adjourn?
No.
How about the staff? And the staff want to say anything before we adjourn? Okay, if not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. It is now 9:38.
You got a motion to adjourn?
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, moved and second that we adjourn. All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? Motion's carried. We are now adjourned, and thank you, everybody. And stick around for the next phase.